Hey, what is up YouTube? Kolst here, and welcome back for this arena card review for cards in the next expansion of Hearthstone Voyage to the Sunken City. And before I get to that, I just have this pulled up because this is my tweet which will be scheduled to come out, which will be out as of this video being released surely, where I have a giveaway thanks to Blizzard for 3 standard bundles that comes with 60 packs, 2 legendaries, and a card back, I believe. So the Twitter one will be, you'll have to like, follow, retweet. The winner will be chosen April 4th, and the Twitch and YouTube ones will be, soon. The YouTube one will be in a future video, and the Twitch one will be on my Twitch page probably next weekend, like Saturday or so. So make sure you go to that tweet, which I'll link in the description, and follow on Twitch and subscribe here on YouTube with the bell check to make sure you don't miss a video, to make sure you don't miss any of those opportunities to maximize your odds to gain one of those bundles. But with that, let's get right into the card review. Alright, so we're going to be covering 17 cards in this review. Cards from Demon Hunter, Druid, Hunter, Mage, Paladin, Warlock. As always, there'll be timestamps in the description to get you to wherever you want to be if you're looking for a specific card or class. But start with Demon Hunter. So the first one here is Wayward Sage, a 2-mana 2/2 outcast. Reduce the cost of the left and rightmost cards in your hand by 1. You guys hear that? I think I heard a standard player screaming. A way to just discount stuff in Demon Hunter. Kind of scary. It is a Naga as well. So as far as Arena is concerned, a 2-mana 2/2 not really good enough. You're getting these discounts. There is a chance that you can discount something that really matters, but it's probably not really going to be worth having a 2-mana 2/2 in your deck, I think, most of the time. It could definitely pull it off, and maybe, that Naga tag might be worth something, but I don't think it's amazing. And you're not going to see too much of it because it's an epic. Hopefully, they'll fix the epic bug, right? But yeah, probably not. So overall, not a terrible card, but just you probably want things that are a bit higher impact. Next one we have here, Coilscar Commander. 6-mana 2/6 Taunt, Battle Cry. If you cast 3 spells while holding this, summon 2 copies of this. So 6-mana 2/6 Taunt, I mean, that's like a 4-mana card and not a good 4-mana card. That's not good enough to draft unless you think you're going to trigger the condition. And the condition is cast 3 spells. Certain classes are going to have a much easier time triggering this than others, but Demon Hunter is one of the classes that typically tends to have the least spells out of every class. So this is going to be very, very hard to trigger in Arena. You're probably just not really going to want to pick this. I mean, if you have a bunch of spells, by all means, but it's still like you have to have a lot of spells to actually expect to trigger this in any reasonable time. So this card is probably a basically never pick terrible card. So with that, let's move on to the next one. It is a legendary Lady Stheno. 3-mana 2/4, a Naga again, with immune while attacking. Why do they do this? Why do they keep doing this? I don't like this keyword in Arena, but anyway, after you cast a spell, attack the lowest health enemy. It's a 3-mana 2/4 immune while attacking. That's already probably a pretty good card, but then you can theoretically play a whole bunch of spells and, just keep getting to, like, it attacks the lowest health enemies, so you would keep finishing stuff up ideally. I think overall, probably again, since you're just not going to have that many spells realistically, probably not going to pop off super hard that much, but I mean, you don't have to do that much for this to be really good, right? Overall, definitely a good card, just probably not going to, like, carry games by itself super often. Let's move on to the last Demon Hunter card we're reviewing today, which is Asheron Defector. This is a 4-mana 5/3 rush with Death Rattle. Put a Sunken Defector on the bottom of your deck. You'll see there are going to be a lot of these type of cards that have these things that put something good on the bottom of your deck. And the card that this puts to the bottom of your deck is also a 4-mana 5/3, but with Charge instead of Rush, and after this attacks, deal 5 damage to a random enemy minion. So that's a very good upside. Some of these cards have better upsides than others. That's a very strong card, but you have to actually, it's going to be on the bottom of your deck, so realistically you need to have some way of dredging it out of the bottom of your deck. Dredge, if you're not aware, is the new keyword, which lets you look at the 3 bomb cards in your deck and lets you pick one to put it on top. But generally speaking, I mean, a 4-mana 5/3 rush is probably not insane by today's standard, but it's a pretty good card even if you don't expect to ever get this. So definitely don't skip it just because you don't have any dredges. Overall though, probably most of the time you might not pull it off, but it's just a good pickable card as is. Alright, so let's move on to Druid. There are 2 Druid cards we'll be reviewing today. The first one is Aquatic Form, which is a 0-mana rare spell with Dredge. If you have the mana to play the card this turn, draw it. This will have relevant synergy with the card that we will be talking about a little later. But overall, I mean, this thing is usually you're gonna be able to cycle it. You might have to wait a little bit just to make sure you actually get the thing you want. But honestly, I mean, imagine if some super powerful late game card is on, you know, the bottom of your deck. If you see it, then you'll just you might be willing to play this just to put it on the top of your deck. And I think this has very good uses just for smoothing out your curve as well. Like, you might not want to keep it in your opening hand necessarily, but I mean, you know, if you happen to draw this and, you know, it's turn 3 and you just don't have a 3-drop, you can go fish for one, right? And if you find it, great. If you don't, you'll cry, but definitely useful because most of the time you'll be able to cycle it unless you really want to pull something. And in either case, you're getting pretty good value, right? Because you're pulling from the bottom of your deck again. So if that would have meant, like, if you don't pull it out that way, that card you would just never see. So overall, probably not like a super premium card, but something that you'll definitely want. And again, there's going to be upside to just being able to pull stuff in the bottom of your deck that you might happen to put down there. Talking about cards they might be putting in the bottom of your deck, this one is Asheron Gardens. 1 mana, 1/1 spell. Give all minions in your hand +1/+1. Put a Sunken Gardens on the bottom of your deck. So this was like, without this Sunken Gardens thing, this was a Paladin card, which was pretty good. Maybe not super crazy by today's standards, but still playable, right? Now, Sunken Gardens that puts on the bottom of your deck is give +1/+1 to all minions in your hand, deck, and battlefield. So this was just hand, but this is basically everywhere. So, you know, if you happen to have like aquatic form to pull it out immediately, you'd have to wait until probably turn 2 unless you wanted to coin this out. But if you can get this very early, that's pretty nuts, right? It's an embiggen that you don't actually, you pay the mana up front, but then you don't have the downside of embiggen making your stuff more expensive. And it affects your hand. So that's a pretty crazy low cost combo for these cards. So I don't know, we'll have to see what the rotation is again. I'll probably be saying that a lot, but in like the current meta we're in, the dragon meta, this might not be honestly good enough of a win condition to really be super impactful because you would lose to dragons anyway. But in more normal meta, just giving +1/+1 to all your stuff is pretty significant. So I think especially in a minion heavy deck, this would be a thing you definitely wouldn't mind drafting. I think you probably wouldn't want to draft like a whole bunch of these, and they're probably not super high priority, but you know, you can definitely get some really nice value out of this. All right, with that, let's move on to the next class, which is Hunter here. We have 4 cards. First one is Naga's Pride. This is a 3 mana spell, 7/2/2/2 Lionfish. If you played a Naga while holding this, give them +1/+1. So these are just beast here. So as far as I know right now, they have not revealed any 2 mana Nagas that are available to Hunter, except actually there is a little mini spoiler here. There is a legendary, but realistically you're not going to see that. So right now there is no neutral 2 mana Naga. So I don't know if you can just play this going first on curve with this condition met. Well, to see there might, you know, another one might show up. But if you can pull, but what you can do right now is there is a 3 mana Naga. So if you're on coin, you can coin a neutral 3/4 Naga, which does exist. And then you get 2 3/3s the turn after, which is a pretty, I mean, that's a pretty insane tempo play. That's going to be really good in constructed even, but I mean, in arena, that's like, you probably win if you get that. So there's definitely some potential there. And also, you know, 3 mana for 2/2/2s is pretty good, generally speaking, in arena. So, and I believe Hunter hasn't really had the ability to do that. They can get 2 1/1s for 1 mana, but they haven't really had this exactly. So definitely something Hunter's going to like. Sometimes it's nice to have multiple bodies to be able to, you know, just, it's harder for minions of your opponent to clear them up because they can only attack once, right? So sometimes spreading like that is just better anyway. So definitely a good card for Hunter here. All right, let's move on to the next one here, which is Asheron Saber. This is a 4 mana 3/3 rush with Death Rattle. Put a Sunken Saber on the bottom of your deck, and it is a beast as well. Sunken Saber is a 4 mana 3/3 rush with Death Rattle. Summon a beast from your deck. So this one's very different from a lot of these Sunken types of cards because this is not playable. Like a 4 mana 3/3 rush, there's like been 3 mana 3/3 rushes with tradable that are good arena cards, but not amazing. A 4 mana 3/3 rush is really not worth it. It's not good enough. So unlike a lot of the other ones, it's not a good standalone card. You really need to be able to actually pull this thing out of your deck and theoretically have synergy for it to be remotely worth it. And this is a common card. You're going to see it a lot. You probably see people play a decent amount, but unless you have like really high hopes for this effect and dredge effects to pull it out, you probably don't want to be picking this super often. But you know, frankly, sometimes in arena, if you just lack initiative, this isn't that overcosted, so you might just say, okay, I need rush, so I'm just going to take this because otherwise I can't react to my opponents. So it's not unpickable. It's just, you know, not exactly what you would want. Now let's move on to Emergency Maneuvers. It's a 2-mana epic spell, which is a secret. When a friendly minion dies, summon a copy of it. It's dormant for 1 turn. So what that means essentially, there are a lot of these cards that use dormant basically as a buff, and what this does, and this is a situational buff, but essentially because it's dormant, the way dormant works is you get it at the start of your turn. It'll pop up. So essentially it dies, but then it comes back, but it's immune. And it comes back and it won't be able to attack, but you'll have it on the board immediately, so you can then use it for synergies theoretically. But it also means, because it's dormant, like if it had taunt, you wouldn't be able to taunt that turn, but you could taunt the next turn, right? But again, it won't be able to attack. So overall, I mean, there's a lot of really annoying things you can do with this. You can put it on a taunt, a giant taunt or something, or you can just put on something that has death rattle or some other kind of effect. There's a lot of potentially really powerful things you can do with this. This seems like, I'm not sure where it compares exactly compared to some of the other really good secrets the Hunter has, but it seems like it's definitely got to be one of the good ones. Of course, it has the same downside as like pack tactics, you know, where once they figure out you have this, they might just be able to not trigger it ever if you don't have the taunt to force them to. But again, they're like, this could be very, very annoying. There's a lot of really good things you could do with this, so I think it's good. Moving on to the last Hunter card we're going to be reviewing today, which is Barbed Nets. 1 mana, deal 2 damage to an enemy. If you played a Naga while holding this, choose a second target. So this does say enemy, which means it can go face. And it's not entirely clear, and I looked a while ago, I couldn't really find definitively, but I do not believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I do not believe you can just choose the same target twice. It seems like that would be a very scary thing to put in Construct if you could just go double face with this with a bunch of spell damage. I don't think they would put that into the game. I could be wrong. So I think it does say choose a second target as well. I don't think you can just choose the same target twice, because that would matter for Arena more probably, that you couldn't deal just 4 damage to 1 enemy. But, you know, so if there's only one enemy minion, you'd have to, you know, you'd have to put 1 into the minion, 1 into face. But you can also choose 2 different minions. The point is like, this is at worst case Arcane Shot, and potentially quite significantly better, so it's a decent Hunter card. You'll definitely pick it. It's common, you'll see it a lot. The one thing is with a lot of these cards, we don't know, there's a lot of Nagas in this set, but the thing is, and there's going to be an offering bonus on Nagas on the new set because of the new set, so in this meta specifically, these kind of cards may be better than you would expect a synergy card to be. A thing to keep in mind is I don't think, like, all the old sets coming back, I don't know if they're going to go back and put Naga text on a whole bunch of cards, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of them anyway, so it's mostly just going to be the cards to the new set. So that's going to determine a lot of, you know, how good these cards are, is just exactly how common these Nagas are going to be. Now let's move on to Mage. So Mage has 2 cards we're going to be reviewing here. The first one is Volcanomancy. This is a 2-mana fire spell. Epic. Choose a minion. When it dies, deal 3 damage to all other minions. Because I went to a concert last night and my throat is apparently, and streamed already like 6 hours a day, my throat is dying. And I have a co-op stream with Language Hacker, by the way, after this. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, when it dies, 3 damage to all other minions. So this is very interesting. This is a lot of damage for 2 mana, but it could be very tricky to use, right? If your opponent is an aggro deck and trying to kill you, you can potentially, you know, if they have a 1 health minion, you can just put this on it and ping it, and then you get, you know, 3 damage AoE for 4 mana, which is pretty good. But sometimes you might just not be able to trigger this. You might not be able to trigger it exactly how you would want to, so it's going to limit it a bit potentially. But what would happen a lot in Arena, I think, is that you might just have like a mid-sized minion. Like imagine your opponent has 1 or 2 small minions and like, I don't know, a 5/5 on board, and you just have like a 3/4 on the board. You could just put this on your 3/4, trade it into the 5/5 and blow up everything, right? There's some very nice things you can do if you have just a little bit of board presence, and then turn it into like a super swipe basically. So I think this is going to be a pretty powerful card a lot of the time, but sometimes a little bit awkward overall. It's an epic, so in theory we won't see it a lot, but could be very powerful a lot of the time. So I think it's a good card. Moving on to the next card is Commander Savar. This is a 4-mana 3/5 Battle Cry. If you cast 3 spells while holding this, add those spells back into your hand. So I did see a developer comment that this will track the first 3 cards that you play while this is in your hand. So, you know, if you coin something, that's going to be one of the spells, which would probably not be what you would want, but you might not have really much you can do about it. But as I mentioned, like some of these 3 spell effects are going to be hard to trigger, but generally speaking, Mage tends to have is one of the classes that tends to have a lot of spells. So this will probably be a lot easier to trigger in Mage than a lot of other classes. So therefore, and I mean, getting 3 spells, even if one of them is the coin, honestly, if you're getting a lot of value, getting a coin might not be the worst thing. All right. And Mage might like that extra mana. So definitely seems to be pretty powerful. I think well, it's a legendary, so you won't see it a lot, but you won't be happy to see it when you do. I'll put it that way. You will, just if you're the one playing it, I should say. With that, let's move on to Paladin. Paladin has 3 cards we're going to be reviewing today. The first one is Asheron Mooncatcher. 3 mana 4/2 mech, rare with Divine Shield. Battlecry, put a Sunken Mooncatcher, on the bottom of your deck. The Sunken Mooncatcher is another 3 mana 4/2 mech with Battlecry, summon a copy of this. So 3 mana for 2 4/2 mechs. So this seems like among these Sunken cards, I mentioned how the Hunter one probably wasn't going to be super crazy, but this one is, I mean, it's bonkers. A 3 mana 4/2 Divine Shield is an incredible tempo card. And I mean, that's a whole lot of stats on the minion that you pull out of the bottom of your deck as well, if you're able to do that. But this is one you will definitely take just for the minion, even if you have no way of dredging or shuffling your deck to get to this thing. And also there is some mech synergy in the set as well. And I would guess that there's going to be some mech sets coming back, like Almonds versus Gnomes maybe. I have no information on that, just a guess. So I think you're going to like to have mechs as well. So this is just a very good card. You're probably going to be picking this one a lot. Now let's move on to the next one, which is the Leviathan, another mech. This is the Colossal minion for Paladin. 7 mana 4/5, Rush Divine Shield. After this attacks, Dredge. So Dredge is just really nice to have on that. And the Colossal, if you don't know what Colossal is, I believe this is the first one we talked about. This is when the minion is summoned, you get whatever the plus however many it is. This is a +1, so you get one of these. If it's +4, you get 4 of them. That's how it works. But you'll get this, so it's on summon. It's basically a Battlecry, but except a Battlecry doesn't work if you cheat the minion out of your deck or something like that. You have to actually play the card. But if this gets pulled out, you still get the appendage that is the Colossal. And this one is a 3 mana 4/2 Rush Divine Shield. After this attacks, draw a card. So what you can do with this, you'll get a 4/5 and a 4/2 Rush with both Divine Shield. You can attack with this to pull a card out of the bottom of your deck, and then you can pull with this to draw it immediately if you so desire, or you could take one from the top and then put one, which would then draw the next turn. You could do it however you wanted, basically. So with that, I'll try to probably be quicker with the Colossal reviews I do, because all of these Colossals are nuts. This one is 7 mana for a bunch of stats and 8/7 in stats total after dealing 8 damage. All of these cards are going to be absolutely insane, but they're all legendaries, so you won't see them too often in theory. But yeah, these are all going to be, if you can get one, these are going to be your, I don't know about like Ysera level, but they're going to be like, just super nuts win conditions. A lot of them are very comparable to Twin Tyrant as well. Like this one's 8 damage, these other ones that are 8 damage, like it's just, they're very good. Well, now let's move on to the last card in Paladin that we're going to be reviewing today, which is Radar Detector. A 2 mana epic spell. Scan the bottom 5 cards of your deck, draw any mechs found this way, then shuffle your deck. So shuffling your deck, I'll be very interested to see if they put more of these kind of cards that actually shuffle your deck, because that could be relevant. Even if you can't dredge for something, you might be able to pull it, at least shuffle into your deck and then maybe draw it, rather than it, never getting drawn, right? That could be useful, or it could be a downside that you lose it on the bottom of your deck, so you can't dredge it anymore. Obviously, this is going to just depend on how many mechs there are in the card pool. If you have a decent number of mechs, you have to have you have to have 6 mechs in your deck to on average draw 1 though. And that's probably just going to be hard to do. If you can draw 2, maybe that's good. Again, if you put something powerful on the bottom of your deck and you can either pull it out or shuffle it, that might be good as well. But again, you would need so many mechs to make this good that is probably just not realistic. But I mean, if you have a deck with a whole lot of mechs, then by all means go for it, right? I just don't think it'll be like the super most consistent card for Arena. With that, let's move on to the last class we're going to be talking about today, which is Warlock. Warlock has just one card we're going to be reviewing today, which is Asheron Scavengers, a 3 mana 3/4 Murloc. Battlecry, put a Sunken Scavenger on the bottom of your deck. So the Sunken Scavenger is a 3 mana 3/4 Murloc again, with give your other Murlocs +1/+1 wherever they are. So if you could play this and then somehow pull this up immediately and then play it again, it would buff this to a 4/5. Pretty nice. I will say, like, overall though, they do have multiple Murlocs here already for Warlock, but generally speaking, you're just not going to have that many Murlocs, most likely. So this is probably one of the weaker effects, the Sunken Scavenger, just probably not a hell of a lot of upside here. But I mean, it could be really nice, right? But overall, I mean, this is a 3 mana 3/4, so you might just take it just for that, right? But probably not, you know, super premium or anything. It's basically just a spider tank, more or less. And all right, that is it for this review. I will be putting up another review for the other 4 classes that I did not mention in this one, and then another review for the neutrals. Keep an eye out for that one, because there's one neutral card that I think absolutely needs to be banned. And again, don't forget to check out my Twitter and my Twitch as well for those giveaways. Make sure not to miss those. In a future video here on YouTube, I will have a giveaway there as well. Probably make something where, you know, I'll pick a comment in the comment section, that kind of thing. Speaking of comments, make sure to leave a comment here on what you think about these cards. If you think you disagree with anything I said, or think anything that you're particularly afraid of or really excited to see, like the video, subscribe, all that stuff. But yeah, thanks a lot again. We'll see you guys in the next one.